Well, welcome to another episode of the Bar Podcast. Get out of the fucking scene, man.
Fucking wait till I get off the set, man.
We do this shit all the time. It's beautiful. Well, welcome to another episode of the Bar Podcast. We have a special guest in today on our podcast, James Rowe. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, this is pretty cool. We also have Tim Pagliuso, Austin Leum, co-host of the Bar. So welcome to you guys.
Thank you.
If you're out there listening today, go like us and subscribe on all of the multimedia channels out there that you can get your hands on. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that. All you got to do is type in Building a Refuge. It's right here. It's real easy. So we are a men's mental health organization. We talk about real shit. We have real-time guests on, man, and do a lot of I think pretty cool stuff along with LDR Studios here, who powers this podcast. So we're excited to have those guys on board with us. So Clark and team, thank you to you guys. We appreciate you. But no further ado, we want to jump right in, man. We got a cool guest on. James, again, welcome to the show. And how you been?
Good, man.
I see you have a cast on over there. So
yeah, unfortunately, I broke my hand in June, and in a race in Detroit, and had some surgery, and then didn't heal. So.
Minor nick, man. That's all. Just a minor nick.
Nick.
That's right, man. Just get you all set up for 2025, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How did you end up getting here to the United States, racing? A little bit of the background, some little background on. You're not that old, so I mean, you don't have 100 years of history here, but you got a pretty cool story.
No, I'll give you the 100-mile-an-hour version.
Yeah.
To say so. 26 years of age, grew up in Naas, County Kildare in Ireland, 20 minutes south of Dublin.
Okay.
Small family repair shop, family business, been around it since a very young age. And fortunately, my uncle had a professional career in motorsport in the 80s and 90s. He did Le Mans and Japanese sports cars, IMSA, Daytona 24 Hours, whatever, you name it, some IndyCar stuff. And then, growing up in Ireland, motorsport's extremely small. There's one racetrack in the whole island of Ireland.
Really?
I happen to go up 2 miles from it. It's called Mondello Park. And basically, my interest in motorsport stemmed from being around cars since I was 2 or 3 years of age in the family shop. And then my uncle's career, just hearing stories about it. But the sport is like no other. It's not like buying a baseball bat or basketball and boots and away you go. You got cars, engines, haulers, crew, tires, fuel. There's massive upfront costs, even just to get to day one, just to see if you even like it, never mind compete. And we knew that. So most IndyCar or F1 guys or, top sports car drivers start go-karting at 4 or 5 years of age, which is extremely normal. If you go up and down the IndyCar grid over here in America, I'd say the average start age is probably 6 to 7, some younger, some older. And long story short, I wanted to get involved, had the interest, the passion was there, but my dad and uncle turned around to me and basically said, here's the deal. You save up the money to purchase your first race car or go-kart, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we've the resources in their family repair shop to work at the car and operate it. And we've your uncle has the knowledge and expertise to engineer you and coach you. So balls in your court.
So how old were you then? At
that time I was 11 years of age. Okay. Sorry, 10 years of age. And I kind of looked at them like, what do you mean? Save some money on 10.
Yeah,
what are we talking about here?
What are we doing here?
And they said, yeah, that's it. So it was ultimately their way of seeing if I really was serious about this. They, as I said, they've been through it. They knew the cost. They knew that it's not cheap. So it took me till I was 14 years of age to get the cash together. It was equivalent $12,000 from working,
kidding.
Summer jobs, winter jobs, whatever. Purchased the first car. At that stage, I'd missed a go-karting window. So most guys at about 11 or 12 years of age get out of go-karts and go to cars. Yeah. So I purchased a Ginetta Junior. It's for a class for 14 to 17-year-olds in Ireland and the UK.
So what is that comparable to like a car here? What's that look like?
It's just like it's a closed body, kind of like a single-seater, entry-level race car. Just like a
Ford Escort?
Kind of, yeah.
So you think you're like, that's how I smile.
Yeah. So,
just a little bit more hopped up.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short, bought that and then went to our local racetrack that I happened to grow up 2 miles from, and first race around the podium and said, hey, this is how I got the bug. The rest is history. So
hey, so I want to go back though. So your parents had an auto body, like an auto shop.
Yeah, engines and gearboxes.
Okay.
And stuff like
that. So again, like in Europe or in Ireland, it's a little different here than the States, right? There's not as many people that have cars and shit like that, right? So here, it seems like everybody in the family has one, maybe two cars, right? I mean, over there, not so much. So is that business like, is it pretty, I guess, robust in terms of like, or is this more like high performance type stuff?
No. It's road street cars.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's in our small town and in the middle of the town, family premises. Used to be a veterinary practice where my granddad had a veterinary practice back in the day, and then turned it into the car shop.
Yeah, so, that's cool. Well, Austin, he'll tell you his grandfather was a mechanic and had garages. Gosh, man, this dude had all kinds of cars, man. Yeah. I mean, Sherry's dad, Paul, rest in peace, man. But he was a wrencher, dude.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool stuff. Yeah, that's neat. So when you made that jump into that racing series in Ireland, how long did you spend there in that series?
So I did 2 years in it.
Yep.
Just learning everything out. Like the first year, we didn't even buy a set of tires. We just ran on what the car came. Like absolutely grassroots, because I was just dealing with what I got.
Yeah.
So I did 2 years in that series. Fortunate to get wins and lap records. I went to the UK to Formula Ford 1600, which is the first step of open wheel racing. So obviously you got IndyCar here in North America and you got NASCAR, the difference being wheels are exposed.
Yep.
So went over there again. Fortunately had success with wins and lap records in it. And then I always had a goal and vision to come to North America for 2 or 3 reasons. First and foremost, my parents were here in the 80s and my uncle was here. He built a career, and then my parents built a career here in the mid-80s. There was a big recession in Ireland. They moved from Ireland over here moved to Dallas. And
right on.
Mom was a real estate agent. Dad worked in a dealership in Dallas.
I don't think I knew that. Yeah, that's cool.
So they had success. But then the real, I guess, piece of the puzzle was if you look at the North American ladder system. So again, remember the driver or his crew around him or his commercial team or whatever that may be are required to keep that given driver going. Like motorsport.
Yep.
It's the only sport in the world that as you progress, it gets more expensive and more difficult to advance. So you look at the European ladder system, you got Formula 4, 3, 2, 1, and then over here you got F2000, Indy Pro 2000, Indy Next, and then IndyCar. 4 steps on both sides. In Europe, if you perform or you win, you get a clap in the back. It's literally like, hey, good job, buddy. And then you're back to ground zero, and you and your team around you are trying to find the funding to go to Formula 3. And F3, it's like clap in the back, good job, onto F2. Whereas in North America, via the Road to Indy, if you perform, there's prize money for poles, wins, scholarships, the next series above, and so on and so forth. So there was a commercial structure over here as opposed to in Europe, there was no commercial structure. So at 18 years of age, I made the decision that, hey, I'm going to go the American route. Now, mind you, I never even set foot in this country prior. I wasn't even here on vacation. I just knew America.
You two guys hadn't met yet.
No.
No.
So, that was a bit.
You'll love where he landed.
Yeah. I love this, man.
So,
I love this.
Long story short, packed up. Mom's only rule was I got to finish the equivalent of high school in Ireland.
Okay.
Which I did.
Yep.
Called a leaving cert over there because she said, hey, this racing stuff, albeit, you think you're going to make it to where you're going to make it, you break a leg or an arm or whatever. Yeah. It's all over. So finished that and then packed up my 2 bags and moved to America in February of 2018.
Wow.
Landed here, and I joked that the taxi from the plane landing in O'Hare Airport to the gate felt longer than the drive from my house to Dublin Airport. I was like, holy damn, this country is huge. And I haven't even got outside the airport yet.
So did you move to Chicago or did you come to Indy?
No. So the very first town I lived in, first night in North America was Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. Let's go Wisconsin, baby. Yeah. Hats off to Wisconsin, man. All our Wisconsin fans up there. That's right. That's cool.
So, there was a team up there.
So you know what cheese curds are all about.
Yeah, I soon found out. Yeah. But it's funny. There was a team up there called Arms Up Motorsport who were competing in F2000, that very entry rung level.
Yep.
And we were in dialogue from Ireland. They were like, hey, we have a seat for next year. We're entering this championship. We need to go and compete.
Yeah.
It's a super cheap deal coming up. Basically, if you come and you test and we like you, we'll give you a super cheap deal, but under the condition that you work in our shop during the week.
So what does that mean, a super cheap deal?
Oh, it was like
But I mean,
$20,000.
okay, I got you. Okay, yeah.
For the season.
Okay.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you had to
that's
work. You
amazing.
had to
I
work.
never
in the,
knew that.
You had to work in the shop too.
Yeah. So I arrived there, and the
Dude, I never knew that. That's awesome.
the first I remember arriving in. It was February 2018, as I said, arriving in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Imagine a kid never been in this country before, only looking at the country on movies.
Well, I'm glad you landed in Wisconsin, bro.
And the freaking snow was up here.
Frigid cold, yeah.
Elkhart Lake's like a little summer town. There was like a man and his dog walking around. I was like, what the hell is this? This is not what I thought it was going to be like.
This is the North Pole.
So, anyway, we just got stuck in, and I spent like first 2 or 3 nights sleeping in the team's truck outside the shop. Like, I had nothing.
Wow.
No credit card, no car, no rental apartment, nothing. Just slummed it out, basically. And then got on the road, and that year we had success with some wins and a lap record.
How many races were you in that series? Like what did the year look like, I guess?
I think it was 6 or 7 weekends.
Okay. Yeah.
Something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Man, that's such a I love to hear that just from a standpoint of like, traveling, to the United States and like in this specific, industry, right? From a racing perspective, it's so different to your point. I'm not an expert in it, but I've grown up in Indianapolis. I had some opportunity to spend some time with some teams here. So I got a flavor of it, but not like that. Like that's a different pathway, man.
And one of the biggest things that stood out to me in that too was, I mean, you're 18 years old, just finishing, what we call grade school here. And, you had this vision, this dream you wanted to do. A lot of 18-year-olds here have, for one, no idea what they want to do at 18. Yeah. And two, let alone to say, that's like an 18-year-old here saying, oh, I want to go to Ireland and follow this dream. And they won't do it just because they have that fear in the back of them.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's just, it's amazing to hear that. You're like, well, nope, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Nothing to lose. That's always been, when you're at that level and you have nothing anyway. Yeah. Like, what's another gamble?
Yeah.
You just crack on.
Just another day.
Yeah, truly, yeah.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, even, because before we had you come on, you and I sat down for a little bit and we were talking, about like how we wanted to frame some of this up. And I think it's really cool because, you mentioned you're like, man, this is just what I do. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's stresses and challenges and there's shit that we run into, you know what I mean? But you're like, and we just go through it, man. Yeah. I mean, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? And I think it's a great attitude, from a mental perspective, right? I mean, you just had it on. You know what I mean? You take it head on and you go after it.
Yeah. No,
I love that.
That's, I use the analogy sink or swim.
Yeah, of course.
You just crack on.
Yeah,
as I said, that year, like, that year probably is the most I grew as a person in my whole life. Like I came here at 18. I went back to Ireland later that year. It was November or December, whatever. Yeah. And people were like, damn, we feel like you're 22 or 3 years old. Yeah. In the space of 9 or 10 months, it was like growing up 3 or 4
What do you think, like, what would you say, James, contributed to that, like, jump in maturity?
It was just having, again, sink or swim. All of a sudden you wake up one morning, you're in a truck in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. You're like, I need to go get somewhere to stay. You start going around. You don't know how it works. You're meeting local people in restaurants and bars. It's like, oh, I know someone down the street that has a room to rent. And I went to some place. And I'm allergic to cats, and there's fucking cats in the place. Got kicked out of that place. And then found someone else. So went to another place, and then paying them with cash. I had no bank accounts. Hopefully the IRS don't listen to this. And, again, mechanic had a car that I got a loan of, and I paid the insurance and paid him like $200 a month. Just you made it happen. Just made it happen. And then you just kind of just get on with it. Just go from there. So that's probably what it came down to. And then you start, getting your feet
start
wet
rolling
and
a little bit more.
And then the following year in 2019, I got a scholarship from Honda to go and race in US Formula 3.
Okay.
So made that step, and again, didn't know that off season what I was going to be doing, and a miracle call, and someone said, hey, there's this European scholarship in the series. Yeah. Happened to know the CEO of Ligier at the time who made the cars. He actually worked for my uncle back in the 80s, making all their carbon fiber kits for their car. Because
your uncle, I remember you told me that he raced in the Indy 500, right?
Yeah. In 80, I don't know what
Yeah. What's his name?
Michael Rowe.
Yeah, right on, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that, man. I love like the history.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool because I guess, I mean, we're a little biased, right? We live here in Indiana, so we kind of have racing in our blood, I guess, to some extent. And I know people out there when they hear this, like if they're race fans, man, that connects to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it super connects to them hearing your story because it's fun to listen. It's fun to watch. It's fun to listen to you, right? Because you are from Ireland. You got an accent. You're different, right? And just to hear how you look at the United States is different, especially like what Austin said, like at 18 years old. You know what I mean? Like that's a big jump, man. I mean, hell, like he said, 18-year-old kids, like shit, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but at 18 years old, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Let alone jump to another country and and go racing for a matter. But so talk to me a little bit about how you and Tim met. I know that's probably coming up here.
Timmy can tell this.
Yeah.
From his mouth than my mouth.
Well, it's important because I mean, a lot of people that are watching this, and Tim, you had your own experience in racing, man, and for the guests, you can share with them a little bit about that, what that looks like. But I mean, it's important because I think friendships are important in a relationship like this, and what you do, James, and what Tim does, and kind of the big picture of things.
Well, 100%. I mean, in racing, my story kind of starts a little bit like James, and that's why we have connected so well over the years. Is as we've grown as friends, we've noticed that it's all about our mindset. No one's going to do anything for you. You got to do it yourself. Okay, and don't rely on anyone because no one's going to share your best interests and your dreams more than you or your circle of people that you trust. So I'm older than James, and when I moved out here, I never raced. I just knew I liked it, and I knew I had the ability to be in that opportunity.
Right.
So same thing that James says, you find a way to get it done. You find the people to connect with, and before you know it, you get some traction and you're in the seat and you're like, oh shit, how did I get here? That's the way it goes. And, within the first 5 minutes, I knew I did not belong in that seat, but I just looked at it as an opportunity. I can either grow from this. I'm going to learn and I'm going to share it with, the next person that's in my shoes. Whoever that person is, it's willing to ask. And short 2 years later, I ran into James where we lived at our apartment complex, and it all stemmed around helping someone. Our relationship literally stemmed around helping someone out and business and opportunity, and it just kind of connected that way. And from there, it really turned out to where before you knew it, I get a call the next day and a text the next day, vice versa. Hey, what would you, that was a great conversation. What would you do in this scenario? And before you knew it, that turned into traction in our friendship. And every scenario that I've gone through before him, I had experience to say, hey, this is what I did. This is what I was thinking. These are the feelings that I had when this person said this to me. And then we would banter about it, say, what do you think? This is what I would say. Just helping each other out, man. And the premise of all of it is, it's art in that industry is cutthroat. It does not matter. You could be the top of the line today, and tomorrow, someone's taking your spot. So you got to find ways to leverage yourself to have value. Right. Other than being a race car driver.
It's nicknamed we nickname it, and like people in the industry nickname the sport as the Piranha Club. Like, you could be my best friend, and you and I are fighting over the same seat, or you could be a team owner, and you're going to axe me in 2 weeks' time at the end of the season. But you'd be smiling to my face the whole way up, talking about sponsors and partners, and then you'll just text me like, "Hey, by the way, we're not renewing your contract." It's on to the next. So there's no moral codes, if you will. So that's why a relationship with a friend like that, who knows the industry, but one of the beauties with Timmy is he knows it so well because he's lived it, but then he's so far separated from it now in his new world that you can actually speak openly to someone because you're not going to have a knife in your back.
That's right.
You hear people saying having someone to talk to is very important, and truly it is.
James, you're throwing me softballs here, man.
No, but it's true.
You're right. No, you're exactly right.
No,
that's what it is.
It's 100%, and we've how long's that been? Damn, since we've known each other. It's been about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Short time. Feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's the things that in
2020.
in that.
Well, that's what you were saying,
yeah.
because you made that jump. You were telling me, like, hey, when I moved to Akard Lake, and then you mentioned moving to the next series, right? I mean, it couldn't have been too far long after that when you guys met one another.
Yeah, 2019, I raced USF 3.
Yep.
Then moved to Indy in March of 2020, so
Yep.
COVID.
Yeah.
In an apartment in Indiana. Here because I'm like
Racing virtually.
Well, yeah, at that time,
Yeah.
we would kind of do whatever. But I was like, I got to be in Indiana or Indianapolis if I want to succeed in motorsport. And yeah, moved to an apartment there. And when the world's shutting down, can't go home to see family. There's nothing. It's like here I am. And I was met him in the complex, and just rolled on from there. Yeah, but
it's cool. I mean, what I meant about that, and throwing me softballs, man. I mean, it's a lot of what we talk about here on Building a Refuge, right? I mean, we know from experience, right? Like having someone to share with, be honest with, like, hey, and ask for feedback too, right? Because you want that candid feedback. You don't want somebody just going, hey, here's what you should do. It's like you want somebody going like, bro, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? This is what you should be doing. Yeah. Like you want someone that's going to be real with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I even know, Timmy, you and I talking some, and you've heard it too, but maybe you as well, James, but there's nothing, especially in the lower divisions of the sport, there is none of that. Like, kind of like you were saying, you're left to figure it out yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you definitely were fortunate to meet Tim and have that
Yeah.
relationship to talk about that. Because, I mean, I could assume a lot of other racers in the division don't have that and haven't, sure, there's a lot of people that have raced and they have coaches and whatnot, but just a personal experience with it. So you could bounce those ideas and thoughts off of it.
A lot of people just either A, have managers or B, family, is over here with them.
Right.
So I neither, I'm self-managed. Every contract up to the ready contract today, doing a deal is like, goes through me, and I'm fortunate to have, a commercial team around me. So they do that kind of stuff. But again, because you're your own, let's say, box, just being able to throw stuff at someone again that can give you honest feedback that other athletes or other drivers would use their manager or use mom and dad that's living with them over here or whatever. So yeah, no, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
James, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to know that what your initial gut feeling is on something that someone else is like, yeah, you're thinking the right way. That goes a long way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't take any credit for what this kid can do and what he has done. I mean, I'm grateful that I know him. I consider one of my closest best friends.
Yeah.
Outside of racing, because we get a lot of laughs out of life. But,
Hey, man, right? You gotta laugh, man.
No, seriously, that's like the premise of our friendship.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man, we just like, hey, man, I need some laughs. Let's go.
But then on the other, the other side of that, you said, yeah, you could give that confirmation to him that what he is asking. He's like, yeah, that gut feeling's right. It could be the opposite too. It's like, no, you're completely wrong, dude.
Oh,
you
100%.
don't want, you know what I mean?
It's a valid point. And, that's where our friendship of transparency and just know that, I know he knows that anything that he asks, I have his best interest at heart.
Right.
Which is, since we known each other at
sure.
Indy Pro, it's like, dude, you got to know as you move up, the series sets you up to essentially not be at your best foot forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just kind of create that and know that, you got to have that sound state that, my initial thought is right or no, and you can bounce that off of reality.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun to watch it, James. You know what I mean? Again, having you on is a blessing, dude. Like we love having guests on that bring a little bit of a different, story to what we do with Building a Refuge, right? And when you think about like the parallels to all of us and what we do professionally, we all sit here at this desk. I'm 54 years old. We can go around the table here, but everybody deals with shit. You know what I mean? And so having someone to talk to is a big deal, like Clark and Mike and all these guys that I get to hang out here that help us with this podcast and LDR Studios, man. It's kind of like a brotherhood. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, man, what do you think about this? Or can we do this? And believe me, many times these guys have been like, yeah, bro, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? So I might think it's a great idea, but they're like, yeah, let's throttle that back a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool. But talk to me a little bit about, so when you made that jump to, I think it was, you said Indy 2000, was that the next jump to that?
Indy Pro 2000.
Yeah. So that was in 2020?
2021.
Okay.
Yeah, a small Irish team out of Chicago, owned by a guy called Peter Dempsey. He won the Freedom 100 here at
Yeah, right on.
Many years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, the
Okay.
closest
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah. I think I remember. Yeah. Right on.
So long story short, yeah. Again, he was starting a team, middle rung of the road to Indy ladder. So now 2 steps away from IndyCar, and said Irish team starting off. Irish team owner would love to have an Irish driver.
Oh yeah.
And that time frame was then when I made that switch from, sink and swimming kind of deals to go racing to corporate partnerships and sponsorships. The reason being that Indy Pro 2000 race alongside IndyCar. Everywhere we go, it's on the IndyCar package. So now you're, as opposed to selling a deal with a man and his dog at the track, you're selling a deal with 150,000 people at a race, like St. Pete Grand Prix. So that's when I fortunately, partnered with Top Con and long-standing partners such as them and Trintech and Ringpower and all that goes with that. And there's a lot of lessons learned in those periods too, as being a 19 or 20-year-old kid sitting in an office in the Bay Area with a CEO of a billion-dollar corporation asking them for money to go racing.
What does that feel like?
Honestly, going back to it again, and better, and had nothing. So I'm like, what's another topic?
Dude, I love it, man. I love that, James. I love just the authenticity of that, man. You're like, fuck it, man. Like, let's go.
Let's go and let's do it. And so anyway, signed that deal with them, and we good year that year. You had a pole and a win and different things, and then they went to Indy Lights the following year. Probably looking at it, went a year too soon from my own standpoint, but an opportunity was there that Timmy knows about that came up, and it was in some ways too good to be true at the time. So took that chance, took that step, and had a tough year. That year was a partial season. Team got into troubles halfway through the season and ceased up. But then off the back of that, our partners are having so much success over here with our racing program and bringing return on investment to them, and they're global. They're like, hey, can we do this in Europe? What can we do over there? We have European customers too. Yeah. So they started a sports car program over there, which
that's when you was that Lamborghinis, right? Yeah, that's badass.
Lamborghini GT3.
Oh my gosh.
So we went over there and then had some wins and podiums and stuff. That was good. And then very fortunately got the Andretti deal in 2023. Yeah. Signed with them, first Irish driver they ever signed. So that was a big deal for Irish motorsport too. Because think about it, there's probably only like 4 or 5 guys that leave the island of Ireland to go racing. There's 4 to 5 million people in the whole island. It's literally Indianapolis. It's nothing. Yeah. So to expand out of it and succeed and get to the last.
So when you go back to Ireland, is it? I mean, I'm sure you get recognized, right? I mean, is it like,
It's funny. The last time I was home was the first time I got properly recognized. Okay. I was pulled over by a cop in a town.
Were you speeding?
No, I came around the corner. I shouldn't be on my phone, but I was on the phone and forgot I was back in Ireland. I was on the wrong side of the street and all sorts of crap. Because we drive on the other side of the road. Timmy knows it's something like that. So the cop came after me and pulled me over. And, he's like, asked me the license, and he said, you're used to going faster too, right?
You're like, yeah, a bit.
I was like, yeah.
What's so? Clark's giving us some. It's okay. He's giving us some coaching. I like it. Yeah, there. He's like, okay.
So that was that. But it's all good over there. It's great. Irish press, Irish media, and a lot of our roots. Sponsored by Tourism Ireland, Shamrock on the forefront of my helmet. We don't don't get away from our Irishness.
No, man. Why would you, dude? Like, that's fantastic. I mean, I think it's great that you can bring it here and you can take it home. You know what I mean? So talk to me a little bit of what you do in the off season, right, man? I mean, you're off right now. What do you got plans? What do you kind of do? I mean, you obviously had some work done. Yeah, had surgery. You get a little renovation done on the hand there, right?
Modifications.
Yeah, that's right.
Got 2 screws in last Tuesday. So as I said, in June of this year at a street race in Detroit, crashed out on a qualifying lap fighting for pole, a thousandth of a second.
And, I saw you.
I felt that you saw me. But, anyway, overshot turn 1, hit the wall there, broke my hand, and didn't know about it for a few weeks. Thought it was sprained. Got surgery, as I said, and then, long story short, finished the season. Should have been in a cast in the middle point of the season, but
Yeah.
again, we were together when I got the email.
Would that have eliminated you from driving though? Would you have been able to race with the cast?
No, not with this.
Yeah. I wouldn't think so, but
No.
they couldn't duct tape that thing to a steering wheel, huh?
No, we made a carbon splint with Dr. Trammell.
Yeah, I remember
but
seeing
it
it.
was just, it was just
Yeah.
so sure. But anyway, we got through that and pushed on, and then finally have time now to be in a cast for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So got that done, and honestly, for now, it's a lot of just reviewing everything. So it's a performance-based industry, reviewing our season just gone by. Engineer at Andretti supplied a 90-page report on the season of every race and session and what worked and what didn't work. So go through all of that. On the performance side, see areas that we need to improve upon to be ready for next year.
Yeah.
Then the sponsor partner side, all the renewals, new deals there.
Yeah.
Going through a few contract extensions at the moment, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of your time. And then travel, for all this, people don't realize, like, we average, this year I'll do probably like 120 flights in the year.
Yeah.
So you think of all the days, and you're over and back the whole time.
So let me ask a question around that too. I mean, because I think just for our audience, right? Again, the general listener out there, they probably don't get a glimpse of that, right? And you're sharing some of this into what that looks like. Are you planning a lot of that on your own? I mean, is this kind of a balance? I mean, I would guess maybe in the past you did a lot of that on your own. Maybe today you do as much, or is it still kind of on you to?
Yeah, 50-50. I have very fortunate to have someone work for me, a lady called Catherine Leahy, who's formerly the VP of Brands at Wasserman. They're North America's largest ad agency. And then I met her through Goldman Sachs, through their marketing director, and she was representing them on their deal with McLaren F1. They're like, hey, this lady's leaving. She's having kids. Yeah. She's super sharp. She lives in Ohio. We're going to introduce you to her. She's getting out of corporate America. You should probably reach out to her, and 2 years ago she decided to come on board.
Yeah, right on.
That was her fourth kid, because it was like dealing with another idiot. She came on board. So now she does all the commercial strategy of working, and then...
Do you push your buttons at all?
I don't know how it works. It gets a little feisty.
Yeah, right.
But no, she keeps me in check.
That's good.
Yes, anything from calendars and schedules and working with partners. Basically, it's a hybrid. So she deals all the partners, like what brings them value, ROI, make sure we're on track there. Yeah. Then with that, there's obviously a lot of scheduling, like trade shows, dinners, appearances, all that crap. So she puts all that on the map.
I don't think people get it. You know what I mean? Like, again, I don't think people get it, right? How much time outside the seat that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Well, like, if you think about it, just from a season alone. Yeah. So this off season, I'll have between the checker flag that fell in Nashville in September to the season green flag in March in St. Petersburg. Yep. I'll have 6 days in the car, period. That's it. So in 6 months, I'll have 6 days actual driving. Yeah. So that'd be like going and telling Rory McIlroy or some golfer on the PGA, hey, you're playing the U.S. Open next March, but we're going to give you 6 days,
rounds.
6 rounds between now and then. They'd look at you like, are you serious? We do that every 2 days.
Right. They're playing 18, 20, 36 holes a day.
By the way, in the meantime, you're going to find a couple of $1 million to go and run the operation, and you're going to do all these appearances and dinners and all that crap and review your last year. So it all gets compiled. Yeah. The sport is unnatural in its own way. Oh, yeah. That's just, to us, it's normal.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's what's great about it. And again, man, having you on is awesome, James, because it does give, like you and I were talking about this, man. My hope is when somebody hears this, they're going to be like, who is this guy? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to start watching this dude, right? Cause it does give a little bit of a glimpse into the window of what you deal with every day at a very young age, man. I mean, it's not like you have, 30 years under your belt of this going, hey, this is what I've experienced. This is what I've done. Yeah. I love the attitude of like, fuck it, I'm just going after this and I don't care what happens. So somebody says, hey man, you need to show up for this podcast at 6:00, on a Wednesday or a Tuesday night, whatever. You show up, you know what I mean? And that's what's cool. The one thing I want to say, and I think I've told you this before, when we first met you, and we've met you now maybe 3 years ago, I guess, one of the broadcasters said, and one of the best compliments, man, is like, you are the best ambassador for your companies that sponsor you. And that, I mean, I just think that's such a huge compliment to you, James, at a young age, man, to be able to understand that, right? Because It's rare. It's rare today because a lot of times you get in jobs, man, and a job is a job, right? But, you know, to be able to be an ambassador, to be able to, you know, speak highly and always go to the meetings, always show up at the tents, always, you know, sign autographs, whatever it might be. Like, that's what I took away from that, man. And I think that's, you know, I think that's admirable for sure.
Turning. That's the bottom line. Without partners and sponsors, you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, we pride ourselves in that. And as I said, bringing value. That's everything we do is based off ROI. Like, over a whole year, there's a full spread on everything that's quantified. At the end of the year, for every partner across the board, we'll have to sit down and look. Remember that a lot of these companies are public, have people report to, people invest in money in. You could sit down across the table with anyone in that company, whether it's a vice president of marketing, whether it's a CEO, a chairman of the board, a board member. And justify the program, because the day that you can't is the day that it's
I mean, it's hard, man, even for what we do at this nonprofit, man. I mean, we're constantly looking for sponsors and, you know, people to donate money, and a lot of what we have to do is to show them what their ROI is, right? I mean, it's not as easy as what it just like, hey, you know, give us 10 grand or give us $100 grand or whatever, right? It's like, what do we get out of that, right? I mean, in your world, it's a little bit different than this, right? You know, just because of the public aspect of it, but, you know, I mean, it's not an easy job. I don't care, you know, who you are.
It's
so
good. It fires me up. I'll tell you, that's actually, you just hit on it right there. That's where we're different in the sense that, to me, it's not work. It's easy.
Yeah.
So if you say to me, you're going to do 100 and something flights a year, you're going to do all these races, you're going to find all this, do that. Like, a lot of people would say, that's hell. Why'd I do that?
Yeah.
You know, or what am I doing? Be home in your home country with your family for maybe 6 nights of the year.
Yeah.
But to me, it's not work. That's the thing. And that's why I think probably the secret message is find what you like and stick to it.
Yeah.
In the sense of, it's not a grind. It's not a hustle. It's not anything. It's because I love it. You know, I have no problem getting up. And first thing when Katie or Catherine started working for me after the first 3 weeks, she said, hey, the first thing is going to have to stop is the 5 a.m. emails. Because I'm lying in bed.
Katie said
Because I'm lying in bed. I was like, the minute I wake up, I'm just on it.
She just left Goldman Sachs. She didn't realize she was at James Rowe Enterprise. We start at 4.
Hey, James, this is all you got to tell her. Hey, don't forget your shovel if you're going to go to work.
No, but my point being is that there's no hours, there's no 9 to 5, there's none of that crap. It's just like, we love what we do, we do it, and whether it's Saturday, Sunday, nighttime, midnight, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., who cares? It's just another day.
Yeah, man, that's badass, dude. I love that. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to switch gears a little bit on you here, so maybe throw some curveballs anyways. I know you've run into some challenges, right? Talk to us a little bit about how you get through those times. I mean, I don't know if the broken wrist is a challenge right now, but how do you get through some of that stuff?
It's going to sound like a very short answer.
That's fine.
But basically the box in which we operate in, and I've done a lot of work on the mental side, like with a performance coach. So the guy I use came through Mercedes Formula One. He did Lewis Hamilton and Toto Wolff.
Yeah, right on.
And the very first thing is, pressure is a privilege. Like, that's the bottom line. The minute you're under pressure or you're stressed or your back's to the wall, like, man, you should be smiling like, heck yeah, this is good. Like,
I get you.
That's why you're in in our industry.
Yeah.
If I'm stressed out or like someone saying, hey, you know, we need more, or we should be winning, or we shouldn't this or that, to be in the position to go and fight, to go and win, to strap yourself into an Andretti car and go and win races.
Yeah.
Out around America in front of hundreds of thousands of people. What a privilege.
Oh, like, yeah.
Isn't that awesome? So
it is awesome.
So you got to flip it and like look at it like through a certain lens.
Yeah.
I could boil down and, you know, start freaking out when I'm not winning and like, what am I doing here? And like, you know, this is not working out. I'm going to be fine. Like, this and that.
Yeah.
It gets you nowhere, you know, excuse the pun of spinning wheels. Like,
no, I got you.
That's what you're doing. But the day that you get stuck in and
yeah, but I think that's a part. I mean, I think that's a parallel to anything, man. I mean, even a lot of the stories that we've heard from many different people on this podcast, man, you know, that's the one thing is like, you can't get, you know, don't get spun out on it, right? It's a shitty, maybe a shitty situation for the minute.
Yeah.
For sure. And don't want to take that away from anybody, right? But figure out a way, you know what I mean? Look, I love how you say to flip it and look at the positive side of it. Feel privileged that you got some pressure on
and
you.
Also, the other thing in the world of motorsport in particular is, you know, there's actually a Roger Federer quote or, you know, a speech about this when he spoke to university recently. If if you look at a racing driver and their stats, any driver, I don't care who it is, Lewis Hamilton, 7-time F1 world champion, the number of races he's entered in his life, from go-karts to Formula One, versus the percentage of which he's won, you lose way more than you win.
Yeah.
And the day that people wrap their head around that is the day that you like look at things through a whole new lens.
Oh, yeah.
So if you look at like any IndyCar driver, take Joseph Newgarden, won the 500 last 2 years in a row. Take all his races, he's done all his life racing for 20 years, probably a couple of hundred races.
Easy.
And then the percentage in which he's won, guarantee you he's lost way more than he's won.
Yeah.
So when you can then open up your world and look at losses as learning and like, it's like, it's a very fine line, because as a competitor, you hate saying losing's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
When you accept that, I'm not going to go and win 20 races next season.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been done. I'm not going to go and win. The day you flip it and say, okay, well, we're always learning, we're going forward, we know what we need to do, like chipping away is a day that you look at the world through a whole new lens. So learning from your losses is big, because again, in motorsport, if you think to succeed alone, you got the driver got to be on his A game, you got the engineer that got to be on his A game with the right setup, you got the tire guy that got to put the right pressure in the tires, you got the gearbox guy that got to build the gearbox the right way, you got the engines, you got suspension mechanics, crew chiefs. So you line all these guys up, even put the truck driver and get in the race car to the track. And if one of all these guys to win, that's why the winning's so low in motorsport. To win, each of these guys got to perform at their best.
Yeah.
So the day that someone's off on that, let's call it supply chain line,
that's right,
is the day that you're not going to, like, you won't win.
That's right.
So that's why winning's so rare, because everyone got to nail it.
Yeah.
So being open to that and just like accepting that has been huge in motorsport. And it's no different than, I guess, in life. It's like you gotta
it's right,
just
man.
accept it.
It's right. It's exactly right, because you're gonna always have adversities thrown at you, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I just compare even what to my life working in construction and you racing. I compare where you're saying, okay, we have these problems, we have these issues. I have so many problems thrown at me every single day, but it seems like no one wants to find the solution. I'm always like, well, stop telling me what the problem is. Well, how are we going to fix it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't, like you said, spinning your wheels. You can't sit there and just repeat this problem to me over and over again that something's wrong. Well, no, what's the next step? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So, no, that's really the again, so when your question was stressful scenarios, is we don't really bucket them into like stressful scenarios.
Yeah.
It's just another piece of the process.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I mean, and that's what, like you and I were talking about this a little earlier. I mean, I think that's the cool part about, being authentic around this, man, right? I mean, again, James, look, you've made some huge strides, right? Coming from Ireland, just like you said earlier, like, fuck it, I'm coming to America, I want to race, sleeping in a truck in Elkhart, Wisconsin. I'm sure you met some cool people, because
awesome.
good people are surprised you're not saying you betcha. I mean, because that's but I mean, it's a pathway, man. And like, you're laying this pathway, but I think it's cool for people to hear. I think it's great for people to hear, and that's one of the reasons why we do this podcast. We probably do things a little bit differently here. We probably have a pretty wide variety of guests, man. We've everybody from rock stars on this podcast to, people that have been a part of special forces that have done some crazy shit, man. And I think at the end of the day, it's the same thing, man. I mean, you're going to always come back to that, like, I'm going to find a way to get through this shit, no matter what that is. And one of it is, I think, is having a friend group like this. I mean, look, one of the things that we do here is, like, we don't put any expectation on anybody. Building a refuge is at no expectation, like, zone to be in. And I think that's one of the things that makes us a little bit different, is because when we do meetings, when we do, different events and shit like that, we do a lot around music, because we know music brings people together. Like, we were just joking around, a little while ago, like, man, we should start a bar podcast at like races. Like, that would be freaking great, man. You could have a dad and a son on, or a dad and a daughter on one of these, and like talk to them, like talk to drivers, there's so much content there. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I get fired up about it, because I love racing. You know what I mean? But there's so much content. As a matter of fact, we got a guy that wants to come on. He's been kind enough to put us on the side of his car. He races locally here in Indiana, called Jack Dosey. We went out to watch him race at Circle City Raceway, man, and this is good old Indiana dirt track racing, man. I mean, they beat and bang on each other, and they get after it. But he's like, I really want to come on and be a part of this. You know what I mean? And we've just formed a relationship over the past probably 6 months since he put us on his car, and that's great. Like, we're so grateful to be on the side of his car, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, it's those little steps, right? You know what I mean? And you do a really great job at this. It's talking to people, and it's talking about your passion, and it's talking about, like, man, this isn't a job, right? This is something fun. Like, if I could do this shit full time, dude, I would do this shit full time. That's what I would do. But, I can't right now. That's right. I mean, I am right here, right now. So, but no, I mean, I just think that's a really cool, real cool deal.
Yeah.
I was looking at you. Think you had a question going there?
Nothing. No, I'm just listening right now.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about what's coming up in 25, man. I know you got a season, like you mentioned, St. Pete's coming up, and
yeah, we got a full season of Indy Next going again, which is good, and obviously the goal is a championship there with Andretti, so we're excited about that.
When are you wearing that? When are you wearing that ND helmet again?
Yeah, I need to do another one of them. Yeah, that was cool.
Dude, that was badass. Yeah, it was super awesome.
So I'm actually going there this weekend to the FSU game.
Yeah, right on.
So that'll be fun.
It should be a win for Notre Dame.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, man. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, I'm not jinxing. That's what he always tells me, like, don't jinx me.
It's funny, too. Remember the first day we met?
Yeah, Notre Dame helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty cool story. Not to ramble, but
ramble on, man.
The day we met, we were at our local facility, and I was in a rush because I was going to see the kickoff of Notre Dame, their season opener, and I'm like, he goes, "What is that?" And I go,
like, no, you didn't know what Notre Dame was.
No clue.
What's this shit?
No clue. I was like, it's American football. I go, you'll love it. It's like breaded Irish.
Yeah.
I go, come. Here's my room number. Come up there. I have a couple folks over.
Yeah.
And he and I sat there and just watched it. And then we always say, like, look forward, see where you're at. And now this guy's representing Notre Dame.
You're so cool, man.
With
How do you
it's so cool.
How much do you love that place?
It's the best place in the world.
That's yeah.
No, I'm not even joking.
I know you're not joking.
I tell people, you don't realize what it means to be Irish until you go to Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
So it was November of last year, I went to my first game.
Yep.
And go Irish and shamrocks everywhere. And I remember getting there, I'm like, this place is nuts. This is like off the charts. I'm Irish. Like, all these guys are going around saying go Irish, but I'm Irish.
I am Irish.
Yeah. And and then just doing the tour. Honestly, see what it means to play there, and the gold helmets and the cathedral and
just the history,
the alumni, and also that's another big thing as well. Talk about bringing people together.
Yeah,
they're probably one of the only universities in North America, one of very few, that accept people into the community that aren't alumni.
Oh yeah.
So if you look at the Notre Dame community, they have so many fans throughout the world. That haven't even went to the university,
right? So,
but they love that. They take that. They use that as a uniqueness. So they take them in with open arms. So you have the combination of the alumni who you look at half of Wall Street and it's Notre Dame alumni.
Oh yeah,
like it's super prestigious school.
Yeah.
But on the back end, you got your everyday Joe folk that maybe hasn't even gone to university.
Maybe never even been there.
Never, maybe didn't even finish high school.
Right. Exactly.
And just is a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah.
Because they don't, as a university, they could very easily, we're just, like Wall Street alumni kind of university. We're prestigious.
Yeah, they could do that.
But they don't. They're just like, we don't care who you are, what you are.
They're blue collar, man.
Yeah.
We're one community, and
they're
that's
a huge
it.
brand, global.
Oh yeah,
brand.
One of the coolest. So I had a moment up there. So I went to my first ND game. God, I don't know how many. It's been a few years ago. I have a really good friend of mine that has season tickets. His last name's Dylan. Dylan Hall's named after his, I think, grandfather. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, but I was up there working for my job, and I got up one morning and went on a run, like super early, and that's because when I like going out and getting a run in, because one, you won't get run over by traffic, which is nice. Yeah. So I was running around the north side of the stadium, and the gates was open. The gate was open, and I was like, Austin knows me well enough. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna walk down here, act stupid, you know what I mean?
What are they gonna tell you to do? Leave?
So I walk down there, and this guy comes out. He's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, oh man, I'm just out on a run, man. And I told him a little bit about how much I just really appreciated the university and just appreciated coming up to games and stuff. And he's like, man, go out, check the field out, man. And dude, it was probably the most surreal moment. Like the sun's coming up. Like it was when they had grass, and so there's just this dew across the grass. There's no paint on the field at all. It's just the greenest grass I've ever seen in my life. The birds are chirping, dude, and I mean, it's just a holy experience.
Yeah.
I mean, just unbelievable. You know what I mean? And then we went to a game, man, like probably one of the best ND games, triple overtime against Pittsburgh. That was nuts.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we've had some experiences up there, man. I just think it's a super cool like deal you got.
The partnership we did, so I wore, not to put into context for listeners, that I wore a basically, so how it, to take a back step, their chief storyteller, or which is basically the university CMO, same position, and I connected, and long story short, he said, we were chatting, and he's super smart guy when it comes to branding and telling stories. Straight away, he like clicked his fingers, goes, dude, I got it. You're Irish, live in Indiana. We're in Indiana University. Go Irish. You race on the IndyCar scene. Let's do something together where you wear one of our helmets at an Indy weekend, and then you take that helmet and you come up to our university and we do a helmet swap and give you a football helmet and all this kind of stuff. So basically, our goal is to cross-promote fan bases. We want to get the IndyCar fan base to see Notre Dame in a unique way and become Notre Dame fans, and vice versa. Yeah. By bringing the racing helmet to Notre Dame, we want Notre Dame fans to go to IndyCar and grow the IndyCar sport. Yeah. So that's super cool. Through an Irish athlete, if you will, they got both sanction bodies. They got IndyCar involved and they got Notre Dame involved. Yeah. And mind you, to put in perspective, Guinness sponsors Notre Dame. Yeah. You know, like Guinness, Coca-Cola, all these big brands. Notre Dame doesn't sponsor them. That's right. How much they see in the Notre Dame brand. Yeah. So now to put that into context, Notre Dame's coming to us saying, hey, we want to partner with you guys to do this. So it's straight away elevated our game.
That's because of you, man.
Well, it's some Irish guy in Indiana.
That's because you didn't forget your shovel, buddy.
I know. Anyway, so we did the helmet, but what was so interesting is that they have their own brand guideline for the paint on the helmet. So I was like, oh, cool, yeah, we'll paint the helmet. I'll wear it in the race. Nobody, and they're like, no. You buy the helmet, ship it to us. We have our own paint procedure. Yeah. Our paint, so the paint that was on the racing helmet was the exact same paint that goes on the football helmet.
Damn, I didn't. That's so great.
It was done out of a guy in Wisconsin does them all. He does the Notre Dame helmets and the Jets helmets and some other team. I think it's Detroit Lions. And their paint has gold flakes in it. Okay. So from the roof of the cathedral, every time they sand that down to repaint it every few years, they collect all the gold flakes. Wow. And then they sprinkle it into every paint shop. So every Notre Dame player's helmet, that's why the gold helmets are so famous. Is that
I don't think I ever knew that.
They're textured. Yeah. So if you most people, if you look at a Notre Dame football helmet, you'll say it's the worst paint job of life. Look at all the little dots and it's not smooth and it's not chromed. But that's their guideline. It's a texture. That's because there's gold flakes in it. So then they painted the racing helmet with this, made it look like a football helmet.
Dude, the helmet was sick.
Yeah, took it to Indy. Yeah. Put the two together, and when we launched it, it was a football helmet and the racing helmet together in Pagoda. Yep. Went out on social media. People were commenting which one's which. They didn't even know.
No, I know, dude. It's awesome.
They didn't know what was.
So for listeners, go out and check it out. Like, go out there and look at it, man. It's amazing.
And then, they did a 2-page spread in the Indy 500 on it, and that was cool. And then we wore it, and then took it back for the Louisville game.
I saw the pictures on that.
The helmet swap, and now I got a Notre Dame football helmet at home.
Yeah, I love it, man. So will you guys do it again this year?
Well, we're working on it. As I said, this weekend I got FSU games, some commitments up there, and what we want to do secretly is put a Notre Dame car on the grid Indy 500.
Yeah, that would be badass. That would be super cool, man.
Race suit to be a full football.
Oh yeah, right. Like what Illinois did with their throwbacks, and they did like the helmet, like the old leather helmet look. Yeah,
coming out as a
I think that stuff, like that kind of stuff, James, is really cool. I think what's cool is to your point about cross pollinating different, like fan bases, right? To introduce them to, to one thing or another, man, and like I said, having you on here is a blessing, man. I mean, it's such a blessing to have met you through, Tim and Cass and all your friend group. And it's fun to watch you because we're race fans, man. We grew up in Indiana. This dude's been going to races since he could ride in a wagon, man. So that's what's fun about Indiana because it truly is, most anyways, not everybody, but there's a lot of race fans here in Indiana. You know what I mean? But
world's biggest one-day sporting event.
Yeah, dude, it's so great. Like, I mean, man,
City shuts down, man.
Yeah, I haven't missed many races in the last 40 years, being here in Indiana. But so you got that coming up. What else? Any other big news coming up in 25? I mean,
working on a deal in IMSA for 5 big races there, which I hope to put together, and then probably be doing some races in Asia.
Yeah,
that's gonna be cool. And
so when you go like back over to Europe or whatever and race, is that in between races in the season, or is that kind of the off times?
The hardest thing right now is mapping schedules out, is trying to like find non-conflicts and different things. So it's going to be a busy year. It's going to be a quick off season. Like, we'll be back rolling, fingers crossed. End of January will be my first race, Daytona 24 hours.
Yeah,
so that'll be wild.
Yeah, that's cool. What's it like just ripping on those banks, man? Like ripping on the banks of Daytona.
It's steep.
Like, holy smokes!
You like this? Let's just go around.
It's just like people. I don't think people understand like what they're getting to hear on this thing, man. Like like that's awesome as shit, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, just thinking about it's like 36 degrees, right? I think that's what the banks are, or something like that. Yeah. Which is steep. If you don't know what 36 degrees is, go get
even from the car side. Because it's just banking on that part, and the infield's flat.
Yeah.
So car setup wise, you have to be super compromised. Otherwise, you start popping tires because there's so much load on them. Remember, 24-hour race.
Oh yeah.
So it's crazy and so fast there. But it's all good stuff. It's just a lot of good stuff going on. As I said, goal to be an IndyCar. Hope we get IndyCar test next year. Well, I'm doing couple of days of IndyCar aero testing for Andretti. So
right on. Nice.
So I got 3 days of that in January too.
Well, we think of the world, man. Like, again, growing up here in Indiana, man, I've seen Mario, Michael, Marco, the family, John. I mean, the family race, and it's just one of those names in Indiana. When you grow up around here, man, you just grow up around it, and had the opportunity. Sherry, my wife's got some really cool pictures with Mario back in the past, man, and just great family. And you're blessed, man, to be with such a cool team.
Something that I was in the shop today, giving the Top Gun Healthcare CEO a tour.
Yeah.
And they're a rapidly expanding business. Again, do a couple $100 million a year.
Yeah.
He was there, flew in, we're doing the shop tour. And he spots him that I walked by for the last 2 years, I've never even noticed. He just fell in love with it. But it's kind of fitting for this. It's a quote on the wall from Mario Andretti. If everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough.
Yeah.
And he looked and he goes, dude, that's my business. And I said, what do you mean that's your business? He goes, like, people are always on my ass. Like, I'm pushing this business so far forward.
Yeah.
This guy, flies around the world, like different divisions, doing deals with Microsoft, brands, and like aggressively going after it. And people say, we can't keep up with you. Like, we're expanding too quick. There's too much. And he's always trying to justify it. And he looked at that, and the world of motorsport linked to the business, to be succeeding and winning and performing.
Yeah.
It should never feel under control.
Right.
That's what you got to understand and accept. So I guess to a listener or to someone on this side, if the thing's a bit bumpy or people's a little bit like, whoa, what's going on here? It's moving too fast. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
And that's Mario's quote when it came to winning. Is people say, what's it take to win? As much he did, he goes, if it's under control, we're not going fast enough.
Yeah, it's perspective. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Because I mean, in that world, I think, that's exactly what it is. I mean, if you're not running on the ragged edge, man, I mean, you're not running. You know what I mean? You're just, like you mentioned earlier, you're just running around the back.
Yeah.
Just cruising around, right? Yeah. I don't know, man. I just think it's a great perspective, James. I appreciate you coming on here, man. We're blessed to have you. I can't wait for the 25 season to get rolling. We get to watch you. We were grateful to come out to California and see you race last year. That was fun.
Yeah.
See you here in Indy. I mean, it's fun, man. I mean, again, I'm probably a little biased because I like racing, but for those that are listening out there that haven't, gotten to experience this, man, hopefully through this podcast and listening to you and getting a glimpse in, it brings them closer to the racing community, man, because it's a fun deal. So
awesome. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. James. And if you haven't checked us out, get us out there on YouTube, Building a Refuge, and we appreciate you being on. But James, thanks you very much. And the motto, if you're going to go to work,
don't forget your shovel.
Don't forget your shovel. Bring that shovel. All right, till next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, Jesus built me a refuge, someplace I can run to, a place we now call home. Jesus built us a refuge, and it gives us hope. And it gives us hope.